Good morning, all. Today's topic, as we all know, is something that is a gray area for most of us. Many times we have challenging situations where we have patients whom we feel or the family feels that they won't donate, but sometimes or many times it doesn't happen due to various reasons. Today we have it among our midst somebody who has done it probably 1,000 times, and his experience will help us lead the path into a better future for our patients and the families who are waiting for organ to receive and to have a better life, better future. We welcome Dr. Noble to have the uh, quest for the day and lead us in the thoughts. Thank you.
Good morning, all. It is indeed a pleasure to come here because two of my brilliant students are here, Dr. Gio and Dr. Arun. I never miss any opportunity to visit believers in any capacity as an inspector, as a CME person, or even as a patient bystander. I don't miss any opportunity. So, this presentation start with a thanks and also end with a thanks. This thanks is not from me. This thanks is from the policeman who got an heart from the father of this boy, who is hearing the heartbeat of his father, mother closely watching, and grandmother closely watching. This moment of happiness after a death is the purpose of my talk today. So we are actually in between this boy and that, what you call, that policeman who was waiting for his promotion from ASI to ASI in a ICU bed for in ICU for around 30 days on oxygen, on borderline pressures, and luckily he got a heart from Calicut, and now he is here. He got a promotion and retired after his dream of becoming an SI. So this is what my whole talk revolves around. This picture is also another emotional. Probably you can guess what is happening over here. Anyone can guess what is happening over here? Yeah, it's a hand transplant recipient. After 1 year of his son's death, is kissing the hand of his son, which would have otherwise burned to ashes or buried in the soil, eaten by whatever insects inside the earth. So this is where here also we are in between the lips of that mother and the hand of the boy, and standing in between we don't do. So I'll be talking about this implementing determining death in neurology ICU. What is the operational challenges, medical challenges, and legal challenges? And talk might overlap between, it will not be compartmentalized into three. It will be getting some overlaps also. Why it's not moving? Yeah. So why you should listen to this talk? Probably one of you may get involved in the brainstem death certification, or as a medical superintendent to the hospital, you have to configure the team for death determination as well as to organize the entire donation transplantation process. As a critical care specialist, you might be involved in donor maintenance. As a key decision maker, probably within the institution or outside the institution, as a person who can interact with the donor families in a capacity of a friend or a doctor advice or a professional advice. And as an advisor in the role of a doctor for someone seeking an opinion, should I donate or not? Or more than that, most important is, as a potential recipient waiting in the list, I have got humpty number of calls from doctors, doctor relatives to get an organ or bypass a waiting list and give some preference for the donation. So rather than being a donor, probably we all one or two might end up in waiting in the list for recipient. So you have a multiple role. So you should listen to this very carefully. And after all, as a forensic doctor, you might be doing a postmortem of a dead donor's remains. So this is your role. So any one of us can get involved in one of this role for sure. The first part will be concentrating on, is death determination using neurological criteria legal in India? I think many critical care experts have that doubt in their mind. And what are the challenges and the solutions from individual as a healthcare provider looking after the patient, and from the institutional perspectives? Operational challenges in implementing death determination using BSD criteria, and how to link this to organization. I kept organization last because organization is a sequelae to death determination practice in ICU. It is not the first. What is happening in Kerala or in most part of our country is the thinking of organization comes once the families agreed for organization, and then start brainstem death certification, then start all these programs. But it should not be like that. We should establish the futility of the care, and then only we should talk about discussing about organization. So that is why I kept organization linked to the last. So we have a double-edged sword. On one side, society will tell, oh, my patient is brain dead, they are keeping in ICU and minting money out of it. Some people will say, you are prematurely declaring brain dead and taking organs out of it. So you have to balance the act by a very concrete medical support of declaring brain death. So this is the donation stats from last 4 years. You can see it's only, this is the middle column is the number of deaths happening due to road traffic. That may be, many will be at the site itself will be dying. Very few will be reaching to the brain death stage, and very few often will be not suitable for organization. Even then, the donations is hardly in 2 digits, that is 20, 17, 14, 10 and all. If in 2024 we had 3,714 road traffic accident death, if 100 patients would have been declared brain dead, we would have 200 kidneys and 100 livers and 100 hearts and 200 lungs. So why this is not happening in Kerala in spite of a good healthcare infrastructure, very good expertise, very good hospitals, and everyone is telling, oh, we can't declare brain dead, but because there is a lot of litigations going on in the air. But there is no litigations going around there. All has been categorically, squashed by the High Court of Kerala. And now the cases in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court in the first hearing itself said, brainstem death declaration is already validated by the Parliament, and we are not here to question the wish of the Parliament. So this is already clear. Brainstem death is death in India. So we all should understand that this is legal. That is, brainstem death is legal. So this is the word they use. മസ്തിഷ്കമരണം പ്രഖ്യാപിക്കുന്ന ഇന്ത്യയിൽ നിയമവിധേയമാക്കിയത് ഈ കോടതിക്ക് പുനഃപരിശോധിക്കാനാകില്ല. This is the same word they used in Supreme Court also. Supreme Court, it came in the Chief Justice bench, and he reiterated that what High Court said is true, and we are not going to question it. So the problem in our mind is we are all trained in declaring cardiopulmonary death and not death by neurological criteria. And we all take the Registration of Birth and Death Act as the definition of death. But that act came in 1969. And that act is, the purpose of the act is just epidemiological purpose to know how many deaths have happened in your town or in your district or in your state. And how many births have happened. Nothing more than that. It is not a scientific document, just it is an enumeration. That is how many deaths. That is all it requires. But in 1994, Parliament, both houses of Parliament that formulated an act which defined brain death. That means the stage at which all functions of the brainstem have permanently and irreversibly ceased, and is also certified under subsection 6 of section 3. This is all from the act. This is a verbatim of the act. And again, the act comes with the point of calling diseased person. What is diseased person? Diseased person means a person whom permanent disappearance of all evidence of life occurs by reason of brainstem death or in cardiopulmonary sense. So you can declare one person dead either by a circulatory cardiopulmonary criteria or a brain death criteria. So it is very clearly defined by the Act. So we only need to start determining death by neurological criteria. So who can certify brainstem death? That is why the clause section 6 come into play. The 4 doctors is required to certify brainstem. Who constitute the the panel? The RMB of the doctor, that is the medical superintendent or the medical admin of the doctor, has to formulate the panel. So who should be in the panel? That is RMB in charge of the hospital, that is medical admin. An independent RMB, a specialist nominated by, why the term independent is, that person should not get involved in any part of the transplant activity. If a transplant anesthetist becoming a brainstem death certificate doctor, that is wrong. So that vests, the responsibility vests with the superintendent or the medical admin or hospital to formulate a panel which should have 2 independent practitioners, and that 2 independent practitioners should not have any association with the transplant process or the transplant team. And that panel also has to get approval from the appropriate authority as envisaged in the Act. And the treating RMB, of course, without treating a person getting involved in a death certification of that particular patient, it is not fair. So that is why this is a very well thought about panel. So there is no question about it. So when Dr. Ganapathy challenged the death determination one happened in Aster, court just asked whether all these doctors were there. They didn't ask anything else. Even one doctor didn't sign properly and didn't mention his name. And the court said, that is just a clerical error. You can't, take it into account. So whatever process which is laid down in the Act is been followed, that is all. And that case was quashed again. So there is no case pending in High Court or Supreme Court questioning the death determination practice in our country or in our state. So this, you should all take it into your heart and your mind. So how you certify? You have a Form 10 in the Act. You should all, actually everyone should, at least all transplant teams should have a small book called Transplant Human Organ Act. It is cost only 30 rupees. Everyone should buy and keep it. In that there is a Form 10, and which carefully says that we, the following board of the members, medical experts, after careful examination hereby certify that dash and dash is dead on account. Is term is dead. It is not brainstem dead, is dead. Dead on account of permanent and irreversible cessation of all function of the brainstem. The test carried out by us and the findings therein are recorded in the brainstem death certificate annexed here too. That is, it have a very detailed 2-page column which have every neurological examination, prerequisites, everything is there. You need to fill all these forms, sign, and then the patient is dead. So this is the brain death. I would like to say, your medical admins, you can keep this brainstem death certificate form in all ICUs where a potential neurological death can happen. And also, so the problem is, most doctors will ask, when I certify brain dead, and if the patients are not willing for donation, what will I do? Whether we can disconnect the vendor? That is the most important question I have heard for last 10 years from all the ICU care doctors. So I convinced the government that doctors need a clarification on that. And actually, initially the government was not willing. They got a lot of discussion with the attorneys, their public prosecutors, advocate general. They said, Act is very clear. There is no confusion about it. One patient is dead by one criteria, is not alive by another criteria. It is dead. Parliament is clearly defined. But I said, no, doctors are not believing. They want, an executive order saying that. In 2020, government declared that you can disconnect ventilator if you certify brainstem death as per the criteria mentioned above. And that is the last line. Termination of treatment and withdraw cardiopulmonary respiratory support. And we didn't mention anything about organ donation in this, this order. We just focused on You have a catastrophic brain injury patient, you proceed with certification, you take into confidence related. There is a 10-step approach in this order. And it very clearly mentioned about the importance of Birth and Death Registration Act, the death time, and how it should be certified. So it is there available in the KSOTA website. This also you can kept as a handy document in all ICUs. This is as per the direction from the government of Kerala. And this is another paper we wrote with a professor from Newells. You can also go and read about this. It gives all the medico-legal perspectives of brainstem death in India. So, what is the medical challenge? That is very important. When will I switch my gear from neuroprotective intensive care to intensive care for organ preservation? That would be a biggest medical question an ICU doctor will face, or an ethical challenge an ICU doctor will face. So for this, actually, or if possible, you can go and read the Dale Gardner's paper that is quoted here. He has given a 4-stage approach how to go about it. Main thing is we have to take into consideration about the patient's wishes, patient's relative wishes, and the treating doctor's wishes before you switch gear from one to another. That is from brainstem neuroprotective intensive care to intensive care for organ preservation. So this is the most important stages they have described. Stage of the reversing stability, stage of maintaining stability, stage of establishing futility. In the first 3 stages, the focus is neuroprotective measures to make the patient survive. But during the stage of establishing futility, we have to engage with the patient's relatives, talking about them that the patient is not doing good. They are probably we might end up in brainstem death certification because he doesn't have a brainstem reflexes, his cranial nerve reflexes are all absent, he's not breathing, he's apneic, and he's only support ventilator. At that time, we can actually start discussing about organ donation. And when it will happen is stage of providing finality. That is, we know for sure that the patient is not going to survive and he is apneic, and we are going ahead and doing the brainstem death certification. And that too also, there also we can take the relatives into confidence and start discussing about even apnea test and all. So what is the clinical scenario in ICU? Not brain dead and low likelihood of evolving into brain death, but outcome is poor. That is, you know that patient is going bad, but we can't certify brainstem death because a lot of prerequisites is required for patient should not be hypothermic, normal electrolytes, all these requirements are there. And so that may not happen, but patient is not doing good. But not brain dead, but likely to evolve into brain dead. At that time, actually, we can maintain his sodium levels, maintain his temperature, because hypothermia is a big challenge for certifying brainstem dead. So you need to give warmer blankets, you need to give half normal saline, or if required, vasopressin. Believed to be brain dead, but not certified. That is, as a clinician, you know that all brainstem reflexes are absent, he is apneic, we are going ahead with brain death certification. The last stage is determined and certified brain death. That is, as per the law, we have formulated a team of 4 doctors. They came, they saw the patient, they examined and certified brain death. This is how the clinical scenario in ICU evolved. But what is very important is we have to engage with the patient relatives from the first stage onwards. Generally, they'll have confidence in you, and once they reach this stage of finality, you can go ahead with organ donation and brainstem death testing. So there is a consent form which is available in the THO Act. So you can place this also in ICU. It's a Form 8. In it, it is very clearly says that I hereby authorize or do not authorize. If you do not authorize, you put a circle in it and disconnect the ventilator and wait for a heartbeat to stop and hand over the body. This is very clear about it. There is no confusion in the Act. It's a confusion in the interpretation of the Act among the medical professionals. This is a data which from a hospital which meticulously practice all these phases which I have described. I would like to share the name of the hospital. It's the KIMS Health Trivandrum. They, in last 1 year, they have identified 28 cases which gone through all these stages. Apnea test done in 17, consented for donation 11, and all 28 cases relatives expressed their willingness to disconnect. So if one hospital can practice this, why other hospitals are not practicing? This is puzzling me for last around 5 years. If there is no law for KIMS, there is no law for believers, there is no law for Amrita, it's all one law under Indian Act. This we wrote as a paper in Indian Journal of Transplant. What we propose to the government, because in government it's very difficult for an donor to be maintained in ICU. So we discussed about this, and we told about having a separate organ donation unit. Once a patient is there in the neurotrauma, I think Dr. Gio and Arun also will be knowing. We go to the neuro ICU, we talk to the sisters, we ask them for half normal saline, vasopressin. It is a whole lot of confusion and chaos in ICU when there is a donor there. So the neuro care is compromised because the sisters getting involved in donor maintenance and all other patients. So neurosurgeons, basically they say, you are not supposed to enter into the ICU. If you want, you can take away this patient and do whatever you want. But it is actually two things we have advantage. One is, one neurocritical care bed will get vacant for another patient to wheeled in who is waiting for a neurosurgery or something like that. Another thing is, there is a possibility of giving an organ critically high intensive organ preservation care for this patient, so that all organs can be optimized and retrieved. So this is a model which is doing in Spain. I visited there. I spent around 15 days visiting all these ICUs. Almost similar thing is happening in US also, but US, there is an organ procurement organization. They take charge of, once a hospital tell them there is a potential brain death, after that the entire thing is taken care by the organ procurement organization. And in there, actually the patient is wheeled into another hospital where the patient can be maintained very well, and organ retrieval will all take place in that hired hospital. It is a small hospital, a surgical center, daycare surgical center, and they give money for rental for that surgical theater for retrieval. So this is another paper from Seth et al. He has beautifully illustrated how this flowchart from potential identification to actual donor. So this is the, you can say, the central area. You have a possible donor, as already described, and potential donor identified. Then potential donor identified and referred. Identified, referred means you can started certification process. Then potential donor is tested for all organs whether vitality is there or not. Then it become an eligible donor. Once certified and at least one organ is retrieved, it is called an actual donor. So every patient in a neurotrauma ICU with absent brainstem reflexes should go through these phases, and a possible donation should happen. So this is the year-wise numbers in Kerala. We started in 2012. I think 2015 to 2017, I had Gio and Arun as my residents. We had a very good deceased donor program. Once they left, actually, it fell miserably. And this is not because they left, because one Joseph movie, probably you might have been knowing, Joseph movie and Dr. Ganapathy. But I don't feel that Joseph movie and Ganapathy could sustain this reluctance and hesitancy from doctor professionals for 5 years. That is unjustifiable. That is what my view. This is the total number of patients registered. This paper we got an international recognition also. We just see that orange graph. Orange graph is organs allocated. See the organs allocated. And one good thing happened during that 2015-16 was the unrelated organ donation followed a very sharp decline. So people had a very good hope of getting an organ from deceased donor. So they were not going for unrelated organ. And that was a very positive thing I saw. But At the same point, we had two enemies in our this thing. One is movie and one is Dr. Ganapathy. And again, our orange graph is now thinned out. There is no deceased on allegation. Registration itself is, I think many transplant centers who are licensed, they are not even listing the patient for deceased donor because for in this scenario, the waiting period will be 25 years. If 10 organs or 15 organs a year, the waiting period will be probably more than 20 years. So why transplant centers are not interested? This is my my takeaway is probably each institution have a different reasons. One is odd timings. Brainstem death can happen at any time in ICU. Then certification all will happen. It is an unplanned activity. We all would like to sleep leisurely at home during odd hours. Then there is a surge in human resources. That is very important. That is why I was talking to the nursing head. This is all activities based on the nursing HR management. Heightened activity in the donor ICU. OT availability, because when you want to retrieve your multiple organ transplant teams coming into picture, your OT get disrupted, your routine surgeries get postponed. Multiple organ transplant teams, we don't know who are coming, who are going out. Transport of blood sample for cross match, surgeons availability, ICU and required nurses with supporting staff, medical. But all these can be solved by having a good SOPs in place and designating each person for each activity, because it is not a daily activity. So you can pull in people from different resources and say, if a brain dead donor come, who will be taking care of the donor maintenance, who will be taking care of the certification process. All these can be made into a good flow chart, and each person's designated, and somebody, one or two persons coordinating their entire activity. Then I think this can be solved. And I tell one or two words on KSOTO. KSOTO is a statutory organization established under THO Act, which is Gazette notified in 2022. Before that, it was just a project in Medical College Trivandrum, where I started the program with Professor Ramdas Pisharidi. So this is what we do actually. We do almost everything in arrange the retrieval, transport. And now we have two good things happened. One, police officer in the rank of ADGP is designated for coordinating the organ transport by road, rail, or even air. So there is a designated police officer stationed in headquarters of state police headquarters, whose ADGP rank. I can just send a mail that I require a green corridor from Trivandrum to Ernakulam, or I need a helicopter and helicopter is given 15 hours a month from the government pool. So we need not pay anything for shifting an organ from one place to another. And that is the only state in India which provide government-owned helicopter for organ transport. And this I want to share is, this is the recent donor Isaac from Kim's Hospital. They donated heart and all other organs. We visited, the same day I visited their family. Health Minister also was there. And this is Isaac's wife's sister. What she was telling, ആദ്യമൊക്കെ ഞാൻ മലയാളത്തിൽ പറയാം, എന്നാലും അതിൻ്റെ ഇമോഷൻ വരുള്ളൂ. ആദ്യമൊക്കെ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ ഡൊണേഷനോട് താല്പര്യമില്ലായിരുന്നു. അമ്മയായിരുന്നു ഏറ്റവും വലിയ റെസിസ്റ്റൻസ്. ബട്ട് ആ ഡൊണേഷൻ കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഐസക്കിൻ്റെ ബോഡി തിയേറ്ററിൽ നിന്ന് മോർച്ചറിലിട്ട് കൊണ്ടുമ്പോൾ ദേ ഗേവ് ഡിസീസ് ഡോണർ ഹോണർ വാക്ക്. എല്ലാ ആശുപത്രി എല്ലാ സ്റ്റാഫും സൈഡിൽ നിന്ന് പൂവെറിയുകയും അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഭയങ്കര ഹോണേഡ് പ്രൊസഷൻ. ആൻഡ് അമ്മ പറയായിരുന്നു, എൻ്റെ മകൻ മരിച്ചപ്പോഴെങ്കിലും ഇത്രയും ആൾക്കാർ റെക്കഗ്നൈസ് ചെയ്യാൻ. നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഡേ അന്ന് തന്നെ ടി വിയിലെല്ലാം ഐസക്കിന് ഹൃദയം ഇങ്ങനെ ഇന്ന ആളടുത്ത് പോകുന്നു, അവിടെ പോകുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ഷീ വാസ് ടെല്ലിങ്, എനിക്ക് മകൻ നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടെങ്കിലും 6 പേര് എന്നിലൂടെ ജീവിക്കുന്നല്ലോ. ആൻഡ് ദിസ് ഇസ് എ ഡോക്ടർ വർക്കിംഗ് ഇൻ അല്ലസ മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജ്. ഷീ വാസ് ടെല്ലിങ്, ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു ഇങ്ങനെ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഡൊണേഷൻസ് ഒക്കെ ഭയങ്കര കുറവ്. ഡോക്ടർ ഒരു കാര്യം മാത്രം ചെയ്താൽ മതി, ഒരു ബ്രെയിൻ ഡെത്ത് പേഷ്യൻ്റ് ICUയിൽ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അവരുടെ ബന്ധുക്കളുടെ അത് ബ്രെയിൻ ഡെത്താന്ന് പറയാൻ ICU ഡോക്ടറിനൊന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി. വേറെ ഒന്നും ഡോക്ടർ ചെയ്യേണ്ട. ഡോക്ടർമാർ വിചാരിക്കുന്ന പോലെ ഞങ്ങളവർ അടിക്കാൻ പോവുകയോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിന് റെസിസ്റ്റൻസില്ല. അവർ പറയായിരുന്നു, കിംസ് പീപ്പിൾ ഹാവ് ഹാൻഡ് ഹോൾഡ് ദം ഫോർ അറൌണ്ട് 4 to 5 days. ഇത് ഒരു അൺഎക്സ്പെക്റ്റഡ് ആക്സിഡൻ്റാണ്. റോഡിൽ നിന്ന് ക്രോസ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, വണ്ടി ഇടിക്കുന്നു, മരിക്കുന്നു. ഒരു 34-year-old ബോയ്. അപ്പോൾ അത്രയും അൺഎക്സ്പെക്റ്റഡ് ഹെൽത്തി യങ് മാൻ ബ്രെയിൻ ഡെഡ് ആയപ്പോഴും അവരുടെ ഫാമിലി സ്റ്റുഡ് അലോങ് വിത്ത് ദ ടീം ആൻഡ് ഡൊണേറ്റഡ്. സോ ദിസ് ഇസ് വാട്ട് ദ സൊസൈറ്റൽ പെർസ്പെക്റ്റീവ്. Can you guess what is this picture about? This is the liver recipient and one is the kidney recipient meeting the donor family 1 year later on the death anniversary of that lady who she was donated organs. So this is the emotional bond which occur once the donation happen, and the family is actually happy to see all these things happening. I've seen one ഒരു ഫാമിലിയുടെ കല്യാണത്തിന് അച്ഛൻ മരിച്ച സ്ഥലത്ത് മകൾക്ക് പുടവ എടുത്ത് കൊടുത്തത് ഓർഗൻ റിസീവ് ചെയ്ത ആളാണ്. ദിസ് ഇസ് ഹൗ ദേ വാല്യൂ ദ വാല്യൂ ദ റെസിപ്പിയൻസ് ബിക്കോസ് their loved one organs is living in them. അത്ര കരുതലോടെയാണ്. ആൻഡ് മെനി റെസിപ്പിയൻറ്റ് ഡോണർ ഫാമിലീസ് പാരൻസ് ആൻഡ് ഓൾ ഫോൺ വിളിച്ച് ചോദിക്കും എങ്ങനെയുണ്ട്, സുഖമാണോ, മരുന്ന് കഴിക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മരുന്ന് വാങ്ങിക്കാൻ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഞങ്ങൾ മരുന്ന് വാങ്ങിച്ചിട്ട്. ദിസ് ഇസ് ഹൗ ദേ ഇൻറ്ററാക്ട്. This is a success story from my institution in Medical College. 2012, we initiated the disease round program. This is the first recipient. This is the second recipient. Both were young boys with chronic renal failure with hell lot of complications, and they managed to get kidneys, and now they are like this. So, in spite of Kerala becoming an Adidaridraya Vimukta Kerala, this is the common scene in Kerala. Virkayum Kerala Vilkanundu. This is how all the program started. This is in 2011. My mail to Dr. Unni Namrata, because Dr. Unni and team has started organ donation from, I think, in 2000. They had a small organization called SOT, and then suddenly my sir Ramdas Vishadi was my HOD that time. I was just finished my PG and joined as a assistant professor in the college. He said, you talk to Unni. Unni, I have some idea and we'll go ahead. That is how this program started. I can't forget Dr. Bibi. He is the first person who identified a brain dead donor in neurology ICU. He is now an Aster. He's a good transplant physician. Unni sir always tell me, എനിക്ക് നോബിൾ തന്ന ഏറ്റവും വലിയ അനുഗ്രഹമാണ് ഡോക്ടർ ബിബി എന്ന് എപ്പോഴും പറയും ഉണ്ണി സാർ എന്നെ കാണുമ്പോഴൊക്കെ. ബിക്കോസ് ബിബി ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ കൊടുത്തപ്പോൾ എന്നെ ഉണ്ണി സാറെ വിളിച്ച് ചോദിച്ചിട്ട് എങ്ങനെ ഹൗസ് ബിബി, ഞാൻ യു ക്യാൻ സ്ട്രേറ്റ് അവേ ടേക്ക് ഇറ്റ്, ഈവൻ നോ റിക്വയർമെൻറ്റ് ഫോർ ഇൻ്റർവ്യൂ. ദിസ് ബോയ് ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ബിബി ഒരു 11 o'clock രാത്രി ന്യൂറോ സർജറി ICUവിൽ ഒരു കൺസൾട്ടേഷൻ കാണാൻ പോയപ്പോൾ പേഷ്യൻ്റ് ഹൈപ്പർനെട്രീമിയൊക്കെ വിളിച്ചതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഹൈപ്പർനെട്രീമിയ നോക്കി അവൻ DI കണ്ടു, എന്നെ വിളിച്ച് സാറേ ഇത് ബ്രെയിൻ ഡെഡ് ആണെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു, നമുക്കൊന്ന് മൊബിലൈസ് ചെയ്ത് നോക്കിയാലോ. Then I came there, and when we checked with the neurosurgery PG, it was brainstem reflex absent. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ വിളിച്ച് ഒന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു നോക്കിയാലൊന്ന്, ജസ്റ്റ് ഒരു ഐഡിയ ഒന്നുമില്ല. വി ഡിഡ്ന്റ് ഹാവ് എനി പ്രോഗ്രാം ദൻ. 2012 August ഞങ്ങൾ അതിൻ്റെ ബന്ധുവിനെ വിളിച്ച് ചോദിച്ചു ഓർഗൻ കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റുമോ എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. They suddenly said yes, but we didn't know how to certify, we didn't know how to retrieve, we didn't have any organ bag, we didn't have any perfusion fluid, but we all made through whatever available in that. We perfused with normal saline. We didn't pack an organ with an organ perfusion fluid or a bag. Steel basin ice വെച്ച് ഗാസ് വെച്ച് കിഡ്നി എടുത്ത് ഒരു ബ്ലോക്കിൽ നിന്ന് വേറെ ബ്ലോക്കിൽ ഓടിക്കൊണ്ടുപോയി കൊടുത്ത് വച്ചു. That was the 2 boys you have seen. This is how the program started. But now we have lot of facilities, but we are not doing anything. So this is my mentor, my teacher, my professor, everything. And only because of him I am still there in this program. Because എപ്പോഴൊക്കെ ഞാൻ ഡൗൺ ആവോ സാറിൻ്റെ വൈഫ് എനിക്ക് മെസ്സേജ് അയക്കും, ഡോണ്ട് ലീവ് ദിസ് പ്രോഗ്രാം, സാർ ഈസ് വാച്ചിങ് എവറിത്തിങ് ഇൻ ഹെവൻ. അതുകൊണ്ട് നോബിൾ വിടരുത്, നോബിളിന് പറ്റുന്നിടത്തെല്ലാം നിൽക്കുക എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ് എപ്പോഴും എന്നെ മോട്ടിവേറ്റ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന സാറിൻ്റെ വൈഫാണ്. Because I have lot of litigations from Ganapathy, income tax raid, police inquiry, vigilance coming to my house and taking all my bank account details, that telling that I am selling organs. So this is all I face today. Even my colleagues stow thrones at me. So this is my team working 24/7 with me. I want to audio connect ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടോ? I just want to show a small 2 minutes video. Audio connected. Audio connect ചെയ്യാം. ഒന്ന് ഫോസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് audio connect ചെയ്യാം. This is a small 2 minutes video we captured during our organ donor honoring program. കേൾക്കുന്നില്ല
എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഈ 7 പേരിൽ കൂടെ
തുടക്കം ഒരു മിനിറ്റ് വരും ആദ്യം തൊട്ടിടാം അത്. This is the father of a donor who have given maximum number of organs in Kerala. He has given hands, heart, lungs, everything. അല്ല
47 മാസമായി എൻ്റെ മകൻ മരിച്ചിട്ട്. പക്ഷേ ഇപ്പം നമുക്കുണ്ടാകുന്ന ഏറ്റവും വലിയൊരു ആശ്വാസം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സമാധാനം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സന്തോഷത്തിൻ്റെ ഒരംശം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഈ 7 പേരിൽ കൂടെ എൻ്റെ മകൻ ജീവിക്കുന്നു. അത് വളരെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ്. അവൻ്റെ കൈകൾ ഞങ്ങൾ ഇന്നും കാണുന്നുണ്ട്, തൊടുന്നുണ്ട് ഒക്കെ. അവൻ്റെ ബർത്ത്ഡേ കേക്ക് അവൻ്റെ കൈകൾ വെച്ച് തന്നെ, മരിച്ച മകൻ്റെ കൈകൾ വെച്ച് ഞങ്ങൾ മുറിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്.
ഞാൻ മരണാനന്തര അവയവദാനം നടത്തിയ പ്രിയപ്പെട്ടവരുടെ കുടുംബാംഗങ്ങളെ കണ്ടപ്പോൾ അവരുടെ ഉള്ളിൽ പിടയുന്ന ഹൃദയവും നെടുവീർപ്പും ആ കണ്ണുകളിലെ കണ്ണുനീരും ഞാൻ കണ്ടു. മറുവശത്ത് ആ പ്രിയപ്പെട്ടവർ ഇവിടെ ഇരിക്കുന്ന പ്രിയപ്പെട്ടവരിലൂടെ നൽകിയ ജീവിതങ്ങളുടെ വെളിച്ചവും പ്രതീക്ഷയും കണ്ടു. നിങ്ങൾ ജീവിക്കുന്നു ഞങ്ങളിലൂടെ. നിങ്ങൾ അനേകം ജീവിതങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇന്ന് പ്രതീക്ഷയും വെളിച്ചവുമാണ്. നിങ്ങളുടെ ഓർമ്മകൾക്ക് ഒരിക്കലും മരണമില്ല.
Thank you so much for spending with me for 45 minutes or so. Thanks once again, Arun and the team, to invite me for Believers Church. I am ready to take any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Noble.
Thank you.
It's such a wonderful talk. You have taken us through the great noble mission you are into. And we all know that convincing the society is so important. Society, public is important. It's also important to convince the doctors themselves. As you rightly mentioned, everybody is familiar with the death by cardiopulmonary criteria. People are not very convinced about the definition of death by neurological criteria. So hopefully you will be able to change that graph still. So after this subsequent your activities, if there are any questions.
Dr. Noble, this is not a question. Having been involved in the Tamil Nadu development from 95 onwards, I realize what you have gone through. So I just want all of us to stand and honor you, sir, because you've done a great
Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Thanks.
Ours is a litigious society. Ellarum, they only look at the bad or consider the bad. So having taken this up as a vocation, we are extremely grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Really humbled by the impact that you're having in the society. I think you have a very powerful platform to convince, even though you have all your challenges. May I just suggest that since we do bone marrow transplants, many people connect bone marrow transplant also with something which has to be kiricheduthu valicheduthu cheyandi. So I think you have a more powerful platform than all of us individually combined. If you get an opportunity, please also suggest to whom you talk that
Yeah.
marrow donor doesn't
Register,
need.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much for what you
It
do.
is there in our pipeline, actually. We'll plan.
Sir, what have you found as the greatest challenge in all these other hospitals? I mean, KIMS is doing it well. There are another 10, 15, 20 hospitals who can do it. What is the greatest challenge with your discussions with various teams?
Yeah. I have almost visited all high performing, so called high performing. I don't say that high perform because they do a lot of live transplants. But we thought because their infrastructure is good, I met Amrita with almost a similar crowd and very important decision making people. But basically, doctors' attitude, that is the main problem. I can't go and tell your attitude is bad. But they are all comfortable with the active living donor program going on. That is, even the management is comfortable with the active living donor program. So, for example, Amrita have one of the largest living donor program in the entire country for liver. And kidney also they are doing okay. And Aster also, initially they were not doing unrelated liver transplant, but now they also started. And it is convenient for the management to handle that. And 2 o'clock, the surgery is over and doctors can also go home. So this unplanned activity, they're all not ready because we all have our own reasons not to certify brain dead rather than to certify brain dead. That is what the biggest reason.
സാറ് അനുഭവിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ലിറ്റിഗേഷൻസ് ഇപ്പം പറഞ്ഞപ്പം ഇവിടെ ഉള്ളവർക്ക് ചിലപ്പം സാറിന് അത്ര ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ എനിക്ക് ഒരെണ്ണം പോലും എൻ്റെ ജീവിതത്തിൽ വരാൻ താല്പര്യമില്ല എന്നൊരു തീരുമാനത്തിലേക്ക് വരാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്.
No, അത് why നമ്മൾ എന്തെല്ലാം റിസ്കി പ്രൊസീജിയേഴ്സ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. Cardiac surgeons is doing bypass surgeries, neurosurgeons doing a lot of അവിടെ എല്ലാം litigation scope ഇല്ല. Now what we are doing is just certifying brainstem death, document it properly and do as what the medicine states or what is the current practices are there. I don't think nobody has challenged the steps involved in brainstem death. They just ഒരു പുകമറിയിട്ട് ഇതൊക്കെ എന്താ കുഴപ്പമാണെന്ന് പറയുന്നതല്ലാതെ ഒരു കേസും ജയിച്ചിട്ടില്ല, ഒരു കേസും കോടതി പോലും അതിനെ മുഖവിലേക്ക് എടുത്തിട്ടില്ല. പക്ഷെ നമ്മളെല്ലാവരും ആ ഒരു എക്സ്ക്യൂസ് പറഞ്ഞ് വി ആർ വാട്ട് യു കോൾ സ്റ്റാൻഡിങ് ഇൻ ബിറ്റ്വീൻ ദ donor family and the recipient who are waiting for a fresh next lease of his life. നമ്മൾ ഒരു കാര്യം എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായി, നമ്മുടെ കുടുംബത്തിലോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾക്കോ ആർക്കെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഓർഗൻ ഫെയിലിയർ വരുമ്പോഴേ ആ ഒരു എന്തൂസിയാസം കാണും. ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ഒരു മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജിൽ ഒരു ന്യൂറോ സർജറി അസിസ്റ്റന്റ് പ്രൊഫസർ ഇൻ ന്യൂറോളജി എന്നെ വിളിച്ചിട്ട്, സാറേ എൻ്റെ ഒരു കസിൻ ലിവർ ഫെയിലിയർ ആയിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ കിടക്കുകയാണ്, ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് അർജൻറ്റ് ലിസ്റ്റിങ്ങിന് ലിവർ വേണം. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു അർജൻറ്റ് ലിസ്റ്റിങ്ങിന് ലിവർ വേണമെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ കുറച്ച് ഹാർഷായിപ്പോയി, എനിക്ക് കുറ്റബോധം ഉണ്ടായി. പിന്നെ ഡോക്ടർ ഒരു കാര്യം മാത്രം ചെയ്താൽ മതി, നാളെ രാവിലെ ICU പോകുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങളുടെ ആശുപത്രിയിൽ ബ്രെയിൻ സ്റ്റെം ഡെത്ത് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതൊന്ന് സർട്ടിഫൈ ചെയ്താൽ മതി, യു വിൽ ഗെറ്റ് എൻ ഓർഗൻ. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എന്നിട്ട് ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചു, കഴിഞ്ഞ 6 വർഷത്തെ യുവർ കരിയറിൽ ഹൗ മെനി ഹാവ് യു റെക്കഗ്നൈസ്ഡ് ആസ് ബ്രെയിൻ സ്റ്റെം ഡെത്ത് ആൻഡ് യു ഗോ ഹെഡ് വിത്ത് സർട്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻ? ഷീ സെഡ് നൺ. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു പിന്നെ ലിവർ കിട്ടാനുള്ള സാധ്യത ഭയങ്കര കുറവാണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ക്വൈറ്റ് ഹാഷ്, ബട്ട് ഐ ഹാവ് ടു ടെൽ ദ ട്രൂത്ത്.
Sometimes at least, one of the comments that comes in the newspapers and all become very sensational is, മരിച്ചിട്ടും വെന്റിലേറ്ററിൽ കുറേ so is there any other alternative, like the state will support at least ഒരു ഇങ്ങനെ ഡിസൈഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന പേഷ്യൻസിന്, സപ്പോസ് they are due to several reasons, if we are getting prolonged for some time, at least for 24 hours or more, the ICU charges can be enormous in even that time supporting such a patient. So is there any other alternative?
Yeah. For retrieval happening, we are supporting. Retrieval nadakkuvaണെങ്കിൽ, even if one organ is retrieved from this death certification onwards, or once it is confirmed to the retrieval, we reimburse the hospital the entire amount. കഴിഞ്ഞ പ്രാവശ്യം LF charged around 3.5 lakhs for donor maintenance and retrieval, and that time they took heart, lung, small intestine, everything was taken, but it was reimbursed. So there is a provision, but futile maintenance we can't, there is no provision, but we need to think about in that way also.
Suppose after some time, if the patient develops a cardiopulmonary arrest and the organ cannot be used.
Yeah, that is what. That time we need to have some. We are actually, all these things are in our discussion points.
Dr. Noble, at the moment, where are we with the listing? You are in charge of it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Adengane, how is it done? Just so that.
Yeah. Any hospital who are a registered transplant center can enter into our Caseota website. There is a hospital login page. You can use the username and password for your hospital login, and you can, for example, Gio and Arun can list their nephrology patients for deceased donor, and once the donor is here, you get the preference of getting one organ, and one organ will be shared. If the donor is outside other hospital, it will come as per the waiting list. We take now only date of registration because donations are not huge number. We don't say any other criteria, just only date of registration. So you can't start registering your patients in deceased donor list. There is no, this is the hospital privilege. You can evaluate pre-evaluation of a transplant and then list. That is all. Yesterday also we had a donation in Caritas. Actually, there was no taker. After calling around 10 to 15 hospitals, we got a taker for a second kidney because there is no list. Even Lakeshore Hospital doesn't have a deceased donor list.
So I just want to tell all of you, this sir has done a fantastic, phenomenal job. Honestly, I didn't even know that all this was happening. I apologize. But having gone through this in Tamil Nadu, I just want to tell all of you that once we get into this, it is an institutional involvement with the program, with the critical care people, with the neurologists. My first problem, sir, was to convince our neurosurgeons in CMC.
Okay.
So, you want us to be seen as an organ donating department? Unfortunately, those periods have gone.
Yeah.
But, sir, put up a padam kandarno. Garden of Life, you call it.
Yeah. Garden of
So
Life.
we have all that in CMC. So all of us should get involved in one way or the other in the lives of all these people and support the neurologists, the neurosurgeons, the critical care people and all that. Only then it will become a success. It has to be a pro-life activity, trying to help people to...
And KIMS, what they do is, once neurology team and futility they discuss along with the critical care doctor, with the relatives, that the patient will be taken care by the multidisciplinary ICU unit. Idana madam, we will be usually 24-hour optimize care, neuroprotective, all what you call vital cell and stabilize him. The relatives will be in touch with this multidisciplinary care. And neurosurgeon, neurologist, very mela those. One patient but the patient is primarily under critical care department in the MD ICU, multidisciplinary ICU. And patients in the open ICU, they practice open ICU. Patient bystanders then they'll describe about what is apnea, what is his brainstem reflexes. They show them the tracheal reflexes are absent. So they keep them engaged very close together with the therapy. So they understand, oh, then they'll say, madam, apnea test. Apnea involved a disconnection of ventilator. That's apprehension. So before that, we satisfy all the prerequisites, all brainstem reflex. Cornea corneal reflex. Responsive. That means brainstem is absent. If we apnea confirm and disconnect, we'll see the EBG and medical field family, distant relative, doctor. And many people have sent me the images also, relatives. And I'll say, neurologist, I'll send to some neurologists and get back to them and say it is correct what they're doing. But this is how it is going. Practice start fine tune. So you start identifying, then you will have some hitches, then solve the hitches. We need to move on. That's all.
If there are no more questions,
just wanted to ask, you mentioned 3-4 doctors that need to be there to
Yeah. 4
certify
doctors.
brainstem death.
Yeah.
Do they all need to be there at the same time?
Yeah, they have to be there.
It cannot be one doctor come
No,
later.
because it is written that we following doctors examine twice and all. So it's better to have the 4 doctors in.
What is the time that you will give for declaration of death based on this?
It is you need 2 examinations, 6 hours apart. That is all the time required. The rest of the thing,
No, I
you
mean, what? Suppose you are declaring on the certificate, you have to declare death at so and so
yeah,
time.
second apnea test. That is there in that government order on 2020. So that is why these 3 documents you can keep it in ICU. One is Form 10, Form 8, and the GO of 2020.
Thank you, everyone. I invite our dear director, Sir Joe Chandi, sir, to give a token of appreciation to Dr. Noble.
Apparently, Jyoti has got some good, nutritious, but yet calorie conscious food. And this time, today's is iron, protein,
Vital mix.
vital mix. Okay. So from today onwards, when you come, this is an added incentive for coming for Quest. Jyoti will have some special things for you. But thank you so much. I just want to thank all the HODs and the seniors who responded to my request that, you must come and learn. There's so much happening around us. Thank you.
Snacks is arranged outside. Thank you.